Hi everyone, my name is Dee Roussel, also known as Deja, and today I am going to do all the books that I hope to read in 2024. I guess I shouldn't say all of the books that I want to read for 2024 because these are just 12 books that I want to read next year. I was going to do the 24 books for 2024, but I didn't even complete the 23 books in 2023. And so before I get into the 12 books for 2024, I wanted to recap the 2023 ones and see which ones that I did and didn't read. And I feel like I would have completed a lot more of them if I didn't DNF so many of them. Like, I don't know what it was about like some of these books, but they just were not for me. And so really quick, I'm gonna run down what I tried and if I got to it and all of that. The first was the Eos Key, which I did not pick up at all, so I have no, oh, it's actually like right there, but I didn't pick it up, and so I'm still hoping to read that, especially because the next book is going to be coming out next year, and so yeah, still on my TBR. The next one is The Final Stripe, which I actually did DNF. I DNF'd it like 150 pages in, I think, and this one, I feel like it wasn't bad, but I think that the fantasy wasn't for me. Like, I think the world could have been cool, but like I wasn't into the main character, and I know that a lot of people said that she was just gonna be meandering around just high on everything. So I expected that, but then after that, like, it was pretty much just going to be training scenes, and I'm not a big fan of that in my fantasy. Like, I really could not care less about somebody being trained on how to do anything, and that seemed to be what the dynamic was going to be for another like 100 or so pages, and I was just like, I'm not interested. And then I had 25Z, which I did not pick up, which I don't know why I didn't. Like, I feel like that's going to be a 5-star, but I just did not, and I'm going to mention that in my video because, spoiler alert, it's going to be on my list for next year. And then I had The Street, and this is another one that I did not pick up. I wanted to read it, but I feel like I was reading so many like literary fiction kind of things I just wasn't in the mood to, and so that one is definitely one I still wanted to read. And then I had the TJ Young series, mainly just the first book, The Gatekeeper Staff, which I did read and I really enjoyed it. I actually have the next book on audiobook and I haven't started it yet, but I'm still very intrigued to keep going on that one. And then I have Across the Broken Tide, and I did not pick up that one, and I still plan to pick up that one. Then there's Exiled by Jessica Cage, and that one I definitely DNF'd. I hated the main character, just like the narrative style, but I think that the author is actually planning to revamp that because I think she said it could be better, because right now you can't even like buy it anywhere. And so I bought this before like she even planned to revamp that, I guess. And so yeah, I still don't know if I want to try the revamp version because like I don't really like the character Malcolm, and I don't know, I had a whole werewolf vlog about it, and I'm just not, I don't know, I could be swayed other ways, but for right now, I don't think I ever really want to pick up that book again, but we'll see. And then I have the Divide series, War, and I did not even try to pick this one up. I don't know what it was. It's fantasy, but I don't know if it's the fantasy that I'm looking for, if that makes sense. I don't know if it's going to be like a fantasy romance. I don't know if it's going to be just like a regular fantasy. Like, from the cover, like as pretty as it is, like I don't know what I'm going to get from it. So I didn't even try to pick up that one. And then I had the Fall of Souls, which I tried twice and I DNF'd it both times just because I could not get into the character, and plus I felt like the first like 100 or so pages was meandering, and they have like a soulmates kind of bond, but I feel like they just didn't, like, their chemistry wasn't there for me. So yeah, I DNF'd that one, unfortunately. And then I had Darknesses, and I read the first chapter of this one and I really enjoyed it, and I was going to read it in October, but then I was just like, you know, there's just a lot of things going on in October, and this is like 500 plus pages, and I didn't get to it. So still on my TBR. And then I have Lightning Wears a Cape, which I did not pick up. Still going to read it. And then I have The Given by Kobe R. Rice, and I did not pick that one up either, which I'm still going to read. And then I have Kristan Kingdom. That one I did try to read and I DNF'd it. I don't really even remember like what it was. And I knew from the first like paid. It could have been like hit or miss for me just because it started off with like an action sequence. Not really my thing when you're really like trying to get into a book, especially because I'm a character driven reader now, and so starting off with action, like I'm just not, I don't really care. And then I think it got into this one perspective where I was just like, I really don't care about this person, and I don't know, it just kind of lost me, and so I DNF'd it. And then I have The Seed Bearing Prince, which I did not start but still want to read that one. I also have The Best of All Possible Worlds, which I'm still going to read because I hear nothing but great things about this author. And then I have Brown Girl Dreaming, and I had every intention of reading that this year, especially because it's just a poetry collection. But I don't know, me and poetry just don't get along, so I might just unhaul it, but like I also don't want to unhaul it. I don't know, I want to at least try it before I unhaul it. So still going to read it, hopefully. And then I have Real by Kennedy Ryan. And this one I've been putting off just because I feel like it's going to make me cry. Like all the people are like crying over Kennedy Ryan books. And I'm just like, I don't want to cry. But like I still want to try it. So I never picked it up, even though I have like a lot of books checked out by her right now from my library in KU. Hoping to read something by her very soon. Then I have The Obelisk Gate, which I wanted to reread the 5th season before I got into this one. And so I reread the 5th season, but that one took me like 2-3 months to reread. Like I just was not in a fantasy mood. And so now that I'm in a fantasy mood, I might pick this up before the end of the year. But I'm also like not thinking that I'm in a N.K. Jemisin fantasy mood. Like I just want adventure, and this is going to take a lot more work on my brain, I feel like, and I'm just not at that point where I want to read it right now. And then I have Lion's Blood by Stephen Barnes, which I have not picked up. I have it from my library though. It's just another one of those big books that like I want to read, but like tomes just really intimidate me. So one of these days I'm going to pick that one up as well. And then I have Parable of the Talents, which I also wanted to read this year. This one I wanted to read Parable of the Sower first, and I just never got around to reading Parable of the Sower, and so I just haven't gotten to Parable of the Talents. Still want to read that one. And then I have Queen of the Conquered by Case and Callender. This one I quickly DNF'd in like the first like 50 pages or something because I just could not get into the main character's like voice. Like she's siding with like the colonizers, but like she's supposed to be like the good guy, I guess. Like there's just like this whole thing, like she abuses like her power with like this relationship that she has, and that's like quickly like when I like DNF'd it because I was just like, no, I cannot, like I don't care about you, and so I'm not going to read this. Then I also DNF'd When Shadows Fall. That one I feel like it was fine, but like I don't know what it was. Like it was just feeling very young to me. And I'm not at the point where I really feel like reading young adult fantasy. And so, yeah, I DNF'd that one. I feel like it was fine, like, for what it was, but just not what I wanted in my fantasy. And then I have Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. This one I did not read, but I still want to read it. And so that wraps up all of the books that I was hoping to read in 2023. I feel like after I DNF'd so many of them, like, I just didn't really want to pick up the other ones just because I was like, am I really going to DNF like almost all of these? And it's very unfortunate, but I'm glad I got to some of them. But yeah, very disappointing. And so now I'm going to move on to the 12 books that I want to read for 2024. 2 of them you have already seen or heard in this video, and that is Across a Broken Tide and this chunker of a book, 25Z. I definitely need to get to these. Like, I feel like I've had these on my TBR for not as long as like some other ones, but like I feel like at least for 25Z, I feel like I'm really going to enjoy this one because I feel like it is going to be more action packed and maybe even have more character stuff too. But I feel like this is going to be like superhero-ish, and so excited to try this one out. And Across a Broken Tide, I want to try this one because it's a historical fantasy, and I think it's a historical fantasy set in, I don't even know. I want to say like a desert like fantasy type of thing, but I'm not exactly sure. And I feel like just based off of the first chapter that I read, like it borders that line between new adult and young adult. Like it reads like a young adult, but I feel like it's gonna have like stronger themes of a new adult maybe, or just an adult novel, but we will see. And then I have Savage City by El Penelope. This one I want to read because I want to try more El Penelope. I feel like she could be a great author for me because she has great world building skills. But like the romance that I read in Song of Blind Stone was not good, like at all. I mean, I guess if you like it, but like to me it wasn't good. Like I did not like their chemistry at all. I still want to read the second book in the Earthsinger Chronicles, but I haven't been called to pick it up just because of my mad experience with the first one. And so I'm going to try Savage City because I got this one on one of those like free ebook like things, and so I'm going to try that one next year. I also have Owned by Siren Crow. This one I think is going to be like a fantasy romance, and I've just been seeing like the covers of like the entire series and I just really want to get into it. Plus I feel like I tried like a page or something and I really vibed with the writing, and so I'm excited to try this one. Another one that I wanted to read is Saving Asteroth by A.M. Hyacinth. This one is like an Angel's Demon type of thing, and I've had this one on my Kindle for years, and I was going to read it in like my Angels and Demons like vlog that I had, where I did find a new like favorite, but like this one I was going to read as well, and I feel like it could be a new favorite just based off of like the premise of it. Like it sounds very interesting to me, and so just based off of how that vlog went, I'm really excited to try this one. I also didn't read this one in that vlog because this one is a huge book, and so I'm hoping that I can read it, but I'm also like very intimidated by it just by how many pages it is. So yeah, that is the next one. Another one that I have is Seed Among the Thorns by Morgan Lee. This is a author tuber on YouTube, I guess, and so I'm excited to try this one out. I've heard great things, and I saw I followed the writers room on YouTube, which is hosted by Morgan Lee, Tiffany Russell, and Barrett Laurie. I'll link all of them down below, and I really like the critiques that she has, and so I feel like I'm going to vibe with her book as well. The next one that I have is Silver to the Heart by Brien Feathers. This one I randomly got from one of those free ebook event things that they have throughout the year, and I thought this sounded like really good, and I can't think of it like in my head right now, but it sounds like it's going to be like a political fantasy with like romance, and yeah, I'm just like, I'm sold. Like it just sounds so good. And then I have A Wish After Midnight by Zetta Elliott. This author came to my high school years ago, and so I do want to try her books, especially because like I heard nothing but great things. Like I've heard she's a great writer in terms of like prose style and stuff, and so I do want to try this. This one is compared to Octavia Butler's Kindred a little bit, or yeah, I think it's Kindred that it's compared to, just because it has like the whole time travel aspect to it. And so I do want to get to this because I've had this on my shelves for years and I just haven't ever picked it up, and so I do want to try it. And then I have a classic on here, and that is Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. I was supposed to participate in a Zora Neale Hurston read-along thing that was happening all year, and I just didn't. I don't think year-long read-alongs are really for me because I never really pick up the book, but I do want to still try this because this is like one of her most notable works, and so even though I tried like 2 other ones I wasn't really like a big fan of, I feel like the format of it was the reason why, because they were more so plays or something, and I'm just not into reading like stuff like that, and so I do want to try this one, and I'm hoping that I really like it. And then the second to last book that I have is Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roahorse. I think this is one of like her first ones that she's published, not exactly sure, but I do know that this is like the one before Black Sun, and even though Black Sun is like super hyped, I do want to try this one first just because it's on my shelves for one, but then also because I do like reading authors from their publication date, and so I'm hoping I really enjoy it, especially because I do have the second one, and yeah, we will see how this one goes. And last but not least, I have Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi. Patel. I really like mythology retellings, not necessarily fairy tale retellings, although there's like a few that I really do enjoy from that. But like mythology retellings really like, I don't know, especially if the writing is just very like lyrical or something, like I just really like it. This one I wanted to pick up just because I just really like following like strong female characters in mythology retellings, and so I'm hoping I really enjoyed this one as well. And so that wraps up all of the books that I'm hoping to read for 2024. It is currently 2023, but that's all the books that I'm hoping to read. I was going to do 12 more, but I was just like, let me just start with these 12 and we will see how it goes. But I thank you for watching. Please let me know any books that you wanted to read for next year, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.